can put me on airplane mode. You can put me on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another edition of the Tuesday Night Flight in cahoots conjunction with Clear Production Sports. Myself, I'm the boss BJ, along with the Midnight Rider, and I'm going to turn it over to the show's host, the big guy, KG.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction from the boss BJ.
See, I can't do it like you.
Oh, we are definitely on airplane mode. I mean, that the People's Choice Don Rodriguez, he outdid himself with this one because man, it definitely puts you on airplane mode. Like, oh man, it's sexy, it's good. But good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. First and foremost, let's go around the room. Start with the Midnight Rider. Go to the boss BJ. How you fellas doing tonight?
I'm just ready for Wednesday. So I'm one day close to the weekend, man.
The weekend? This is my Saturday. And when you guys say that, it just hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. I'm telling y'all, this is my Saturday, tomorrow Sunday, and then Thursday will be Monday for me. It's a life of working a job with seniority.
Well, that's true. I mean, you can also swap spaces with me, sir. You could take and work inside of a tank tomorrow, down in La Plata at the what is that? Where they clean the water at? The water filtration thing. It's I think it's like a 9,000 gallon tank. You can work in that.
You know why that's not going to work? Because I would get a call from your wife saying that you got somebody in chokehold in Montgomery County, and I had to speed up there to come get you and de-escalate the situation. That's not going to work. You know it's not going to work.
Yeah, I don't like people like that. Then it's Wednesday, so hey, it's Taco Wednesday, so you got to get happy. Xavier checking in from around the corner.
Hey,
what's going on,
distance.
kids? Yeah. First and foremost, fellas, we got to start this off on a somber note. Of course, we'll get to this on Saturday as well. One of the original Four Horsemen has passed away. Ole Anderson passed yesterday. Man, I'm trying to see when he started wrestling. I don't even know when he started wrestling. But I know his debut was in 67 and he retired in 90. So that's 23 years in the wrestling game. And then, I mean, that's in-ring wrestling, but he was still on TV and stuff and backstage. Once again, start with the Midnight Rider and go to the boss BJ. Fondest memories of Ole.
Oh, it's easily when he and Arn, I forget whose arm it's Dusty Rhodes' arm, I think they break.
Mm-hmm.
On a Saturday morning show. But Arn was Ole was kind of the gift and the curse. Much of what we learned after his wrestling days and some of the people he tried to keep from having prosperous careers. The infamous story with him and The Undertaker saying that The Undertaker wouldn't draw. And right after that, The Undertaker went straight to WWE and became one of their biggest stars. So he made some definite blunders in the midst of all that as well. So, but you got to remember for the good times, the wrestling he did provide. Remember the original Four Horsemen? That's another moment is when the Horsemen turned on him. That was another moment that I'll never forget. So that's about it off the top of my head.
I'll piggyback off the Midnight Rider, man. I think the turning on him, the Horseman turning on him. When Midnight Rider said about him, kind of holding people back and stuff, it gives me, who I thought of? Wes Unseld. And just not in a negative way, but just that old school way of thinking and maybe not getting with the program and not adapting to the future. But sad day in wrestling. I know the WrestleManiacs will really get in depth in this on Saturday, so I won't go too much into it. But rest in peace to the legend.
Take it back quite some time ago. I had an argument at work, one of my old jobs, and we were talking about what was the best iteration of the Four Horsemen. I always said the original. I said you got On, Ole, Tully, and Rick. That's your Four Horsemen. And the gentleman that I was having a conversation with, the debate with, he was saying you got to put Mongo in there. I was like, no. When I went to go get my Four Horsemen action figures, they didn't have the original. They had Mongo, Arn, Tully, and Rick. And I was like, no, I need the original. So I can keep that in the case and put that on my mantle. But always, my favorite iteration of the Four Horsemen was the original. And that started when I was 4 or 5 years old. So, of course, that's what I remember. But you talk about legendary. That run was legendary. Of course, he had some misses backstage, but what he meant to the business outshines all of that. So, like the boss BJ said, rest in peace to the legend. Going on,
starting to think Mongo got in the NFL Hall of Fame because of his horseman career. I mean, that's a little shot, a little low blow, but let's keep it moving.
Hey, but I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. We'll talk about that later. Moving on. Here's a question for the panel and everybody watching: Is there too much pressure on Bronny James right now? A report came up. Well, let me rephrase that. A now since deleted tweet has come out, and the response was to a tweet that was said that Bronny James wouldn't be drafted in 2024, so he'll stay in school till 2025 and then come out. LeBron said, well, let the work speak for itself, and I'm paraphrasing here. Let the work speak for itself, and let these kids be kids. Yeah. Midnight Rider, is there too much pressure on Bronny James?
I mean, I don't know how there could be more. I mean, the kid was born with pressure just from having the last name being named after his dad. So everything he's done, every moment, every step he takes, every move he makes, I mean, everybody's watching him. So it's the thing where I don't know a better way to say it. I mean, he's always having pressure and is going to have pressure, just off lineage alone. So he's destined to be under the spotlight for as long as he carries that name.
Oh boy, I have been waiting for this topic all day. Let me tell you, Bronny James. Y'all know how I always talk about LeBron James and how I think we're not even talking about on the court. Let's talk about off the court. How I think that I love how he is a father, a husband, and it's great to see people like us not act a fool and completely just embarrass themselves on a daily basis on social media, whether it's getting tattoos on your face of somebody or whatever it is, just acting a fool. And I will go to the grave saying I appreciate him for that. But here's where you can't have it both ways. And Stephen A. Smith on First Take made a really good take today, and I agree with him 100%. I think when you talk about LeBron James and his family, you maybe not up there quite with the Obamas, but they're royalty. Just like I said, just the way they act, just the way they carry themselves, how they support their children. I love it. But like the Midnight Rider said, all his children, Bryce, whoever else is coming up in the ranks, they're going to have the pressure. You're talking about a top 10 player of all time, no matter what you think of LeBron on the court, right? Top 10 player of all time, leading point scorer. You know what I'm saying? All the accolades he's done. But then you get to the point where this is the same guy that had a court put down for his kids when they were playing. They had the special wood court put down for just his games. Okay, him showing up at all the games. Look, you're supposed to show up as a father, but LeBron always makes an entrance. All right, you can't have a WWE style entrance at your son game and being who you are, and not expect for the pressure to even mount even more with the name he has, Bronny James, Bron James Jr. So I think it's hypocritical of LeBron to say what he said. And like he said, let the work speak for himself. This kid's not an NBA pick right now. This kid is a G leaguer. But here's where, it's going to benefit Bronny because, and look, I'm rooting for Bronny. I hope that, this is just his freshman year. Hope he breaks out next year and, destroys it. I'm not, rooting against him or anything. But at the same token, this kid has taken a lot of airtime and showtime from kids that are doing it because of who he is and the name he carries. But LeBron has to. He's too smart of a guy to know this, and you can't. Deleting a tweet nowadays doesn't mean anything. Everybody already screenshot and retweeted that tweet, and we already know what you said. And it's like you mad at ESPN for doing their job and taking him off the draft board. Unfortunately, there are organizations out there like the Wizards and other organizations that are bottom feeders that would draft him just to get LeBron James there because he want to play with his kids so bad. And like we talked about with Tony Snell a couple of weeks ago, that's going to take away from somebody that actually deserves a roster spot that could help a team. And you're going to have a circus in town. And I would not want to be the coach of whatever team that happens at. So the pressure that LeBron James has is all because of his father. And his father has to take some accountability for what he created around him. If he wanted a more secretive, more low-key, he could have created that. He absolutely could have created that. But he did not. And this is where we are now, where every move Bronny James take is scrutinized and looked at. So no, it's not too much pressure. Unfortunately, Bronny James got to deal with it and figure out how to start producing on the court. So
here's my thoughts, and I've thought about this in so many ways, and I don't think that. I mean, of course, the pressure of being LeBron James Jr., but if you look at his stats right now, he's averaging 5.5 points, 2.8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and he's shooting 37% in field goal percentage. People
That's
are
a triple single. KG, that's a triple single, KG. Triple single.
People are putting too much emphasis on what a freshman is doing. Now, granted, he came in as one of the highest touted freshmen in this class.
why?
Because he was ranked, what was he, top 5 recruit coming out of high school?
And that's what I'm saying.
I
Why?
think he was lower than that.
What?
I think he was in the teens.
Yeah,
I don't think he was in the top 5. He never really. That was part of the luster on him was, or the lack of luster on him was because he wasn't a top 5. He wasn't top 10. I don't remember him being that high. And I could be wrong.
And I think you're right, Midnight Rider. But my thing is, why was he rated that high? The only reason why he was rated that high is because of that name. He didn't produce.
No, he produced in high school.
He was like the third best player on the team.
And he was ranked 19 at Sierra Canyon. He balled it. He balled out there.
I can see that. He was 19.
30 of those positions is because of his name. He shouldn't have been 19. Maybe 20. That's what I'm saying. Is the name. And it's not because if he named him Cletus James, he's still a James. Just as Jordan's sons. And the sad thing about Bronny James, even if he makes it to the league, let's say he has a Klay Thompson career, that in the media's eyes is going to be a failure because he's LeBron James' son, and he should be this, that, and other. People are already putting things on him that he hasn't earned or deserved. If this is one of our sons, this wouldn't be an issue. You wouldn't be getting this, but like I said, LeBron created this, so he has to sit and take them bow and arrows to the chest because this is what it is. Like I said, 19 should have been in probably the 30s.
Hold on. Let me get to these comments and I'll finish my statement. Xavier says, I think it's too much pressure on him because he's LeBron James' son. Keith says, unfortunately, the pressure comes from his dad when he talks dumb stuff, saying like saying he can help LA right now.
Exactly.
I'll give you that.
He just said that too.
Everybody has high standards for him, is what Xavier said. And yes, he was a top 5 recruit. No, he wasn't a top. I mean, he was a top 5 signing, but not a recruit. He was done. But last time they did it was 19. That was April of last year. Now, here's the thing. He's coming off of a cardiac event that almost ended his career. Now, think of any other former player's child. Think of Sharif O'Neal. Sharif O'Neal was highly touted out of high school as well. He had a cardiac event where he had to have heart surgery and relearn how to walk and everything. He didn't reach the potential in college due to an illness. Now, he is in the NBA. He's in the G League, but it's still an NBA in my eyes because he was on the Lakers squad for quite some time. As well as who else's son? Ron Harper's son was highly touted out of high school. Scottie Pippen Jr., highly touted out of high school. It's a lot. A lot of former players' sons are highly touted out of high school, but it's not the name. It's because these guys can actually play. Same way Lonzo, LaMelo, and Jello were touted out of high school because they could actually play. It wasn't because of a name; they could actually play. And we're in a viral age now, so you can see the mixtapes of every high schooler that you want to see because everybody has a package put together. And something the Midnight Rider said early on, when a parent comes to you and say, "I don't think this team is right for my son's brain," I love that. I love going back to that because every kid doesn't have a brain. Every kid shouldn't have a mixtape. If you coming off the bench averaging 1.7 points a game, there should be no reason you got a mixtape. What do you have a mixtape doing? A mixtape of you mixing the Gatorade bucket? You have no reason to have a mixtape. But then you have guys like Bryce, Bronny, Sharif, Scottie Pippen Jr., the Ball brothers. Those guys deserve mixtapes because when they were in high school, they balled out. Is the pressure there? Of course, the pressure is going to be there because everybody wants to see him succeed. Is it too much? I think it's too much when you start ranking fucking 6th and 7th graders, man. You're ranking kids in middle school of how good they are, but you can't really get anything from them until they graduate high school. You got kids going in the 10th grade talking about they're going to skip college and go straight to the NBA when they're not even ready for that. But then you got... Huh?
I was gonna say we've been doing that for damn near the last
25 years.
25 years.
Yeah, and I've hated it ever since.
It's just got more attention now because all you got to do is pick up your phone, go to Bleacher Report to show you sometimes what you're looking at as far as middle school and and you said some other names of some other kids. And I just don't remember the hype around those other kids. Pippen Jr.
I do.
Not to where Bronny is. Not because
you know why I remember the hype around Pippen Jr. About Scottie Pippen Jr. because he played at Sierra Canyon as well.
No, he did.
Yeah.
But
it was Scottie Pippen Jr. Bronny, and it was somebody else's kid. It wasn't Kenyon Martin's kid. It was somebody else's kid because when LeBron went to LA, all 3 of them went out to LA together to play high school ball together. And I can't remember the third kid, but they were all in different classes.
And Bronny And Bronny took the highlight. Bronny took the limelight because of who his father was.
But see, he didn't take it right away. When he went to
No, I'm
Sierra
sorry.
Canyon,
It was
he first
given
moved
to
to
him.
LA, he didn't have it highlight right away. It was other kids there that was balling. He was a facilitator. Then when they all graduated, he became the scoring option. He became the star of the team.
Charged with me being 48. I just don't remember that part of Bronny's career.
I remember him being a part of the team. I don't remember him being the star of the team.
His final last year him and Bryce played together. So that was the big hype last year, was him and Bryce playing together. I want to say it was year before last. He was the guy.
No foul on that.
Okay.
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I have no foul on that part of it.
It didn't happen. But he was I get the hype, but is it necessary? Nah, let him blossom. Because you can be, and this goes for anybody. This goes for my kids, this goes for y'all kids. You can be the number one player in middle school, but when you go to high school, you're already at the bottom again because you got to work your way up. When you leave high school as the number one player, you go to college. Everybody else is on that team was number one and number two in their state most of the time. You got Mr. Ohio here, Mr. Maryland here. You got all these things. So you got players that were at the same level in high school that you were. So you can't, you got to work your way up. Give him time to work his way up. I felt in my heart of hearts, soon as he came to USC, I was like, he needs to be there at least 3 years. And that's just to develop his game a little bit more. Because you got to translate from high school to college. Now, what he has in college is not going to translate to the NBA right now. Because that's not the game. So he has to learn the next level of the game. But the hype, it's not necessary. And Xavier says the hype is not necessary because it's going to die down slowly. It will.
It's
will.
it's really going to die down if he don't produce on the court. It doesn't matter who's his father. And like I said, he's probably still going to get drafted to a team because, like I said, Stephen A. Smith made a great point, is that you get LeBron James. You get somebody that's still going to average 20 to 25 a game. Your arena's going to get sold out.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, you got franchises that are going to wreck their future drafting this kid because he's not a franchise savior right now. He's not. Now he could progress into that, but I don't see that happening. Somebody's going to set their franchise back 10 years, making that move.
But now, for him not to be sought after, he had offers from USC, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, Memphis, Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio State, Oregon, and UCLA. How many blue bloods we got in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue bloods in there in basketball? Come on now. Got to be something. And it'd have been kind of cool if he'd went to Duke, though.
This is the equivalent to the white collar job. So your daddy went to Michigan, your daddy went to Florida State, and you got a son coming up that don't know the business, don't know anything, majored in leaves falling off the tree. He can name you every leaf. And they put him in the CEO position. This is the equivalent to that. And I'm not hating on it, because if one of us, our sons are playing an AAU ball, and we say, hey, I don't like the floor, we're going to put a new floor down, we get laughed out the gym. After they kick us out, you could hear the laughter in the gym as you getting in your car crying.
But here's the thing. If that's the case, Marcus Jordan went to UCF. Son of Michael Jordan. Made a name for himself. Had a pretty decent college career. Averaged, if I'm not mistaken, 15 points a game. Had a couple of pretty good games. Yeah, Marcus.
I thought it was 12.
Was it 12 or 15? It was either way, he averaged double digits. But
yeah,
nobody expected him.
You just got a better memory of their careers than I do.
Because when you follow guys that make impacts. I follow the former players' kids because I follow these former players, so I see the clips of them, so I go look them up and see what they are, and I like to watch that stuff. I love to see parents be parents. Like Cheryl Swoop's son, he plays in the G League. He won the dunk contest wearing his mom's Houston Comets jersey. Beautiful. I feel like I watched that kid grow up because I was a fan of his mom. I remember when she was pregnant with him. I remember him being courtside. So, but you have players like Marcus Jordan, Jeffrey Jordan. You have all these players that their dads were great, but they don't follow in the footsteps and go to the same schools, but they go elsewhere and they make names for themselves as well. So what's the difference? And Brownie doing the same thing. I mean, it's just we're in a viral age. It's going to be more hype now. I just think the expectation. I don't think the pressure's too much. I think the expectation right now is entirely too much. Let him get his feet wet. Let's see if USC gets a call from the NCAA tournament or the NIT. Let's see what he does in crunch time. Let's see once he's a starter. Then let's talk about draft stock. We shouldn't be talking about draft stock right now.
But
that's one thing we should be talking about.
But that's what I'm saying. The pressure is on Bronny is because of his father. His father, like Xavier just said, his father just said his son was good enough to play on the Los Angeles Lakers right now. That's from his father. And we talked on the other show where I said the All-Star game is going to fall in, and I got to revamp that. The All-Star game is going to fall on LeBron's legacy. This is one of the worst All-Star games ever. But it also has to fall on the other stars, Kawhi, Steph, and all the other guys. But your face of the league, the guy that snaps his fingers, and this happens and that happened, Mr. GM himself, he's put this pressure on Bronny.
Okay. I can't argue. I don't have a leg to stand on.
Just for the sake of people that actually enjoy college basketball, we need to send some prayers up for Ed Cooley and his heart, because Georgetown's in the midst of like a 29-7 on the wrong end of like a 29-7 run. If you've seen my facial expressions, this is god awful. Like the number of bad shots, the number of quick shots, the slow rotations, Jesus. So I like y'all to keep Ed Cooley in y'all prayers, man.
I know what we talked about pre-show, right? And we always try to have a time limit. I'm gonna ask you guys something. Throw something in there in the pot, especially a mystery ingredient. And we start with the big guy KG. We go to the Midnight Rider. Let's do 2 minutes on this. How do you fix Georgetown basketball?
Recruiting. You have to you have to, same thing with the Commanders. You have to have a type and you have to recruit your type. But you have to start small. So you got to go to the JUCOs and the transfers and everything like that. You got to get guys to come here that have what you need. You got horses. I said it a couple shows ago. You have horses, but we don't have thoroughbreds.
You got glue. You ain't got horses. From what I'm watching right now, they trotting out some Elmers. My God, they were down. I think it was 38-56 when I turned. Maybe it was 34-56 when I turned to it. It's like 68-38 right now as we speak. And it's turnover after turnover. It's somebody taking a reverse layup that shouldn't even be trying to take a reverse layup because they're so out of control. Like, this has just been, like, if you want to know how to lose a basketball game, you take this last 5-minute stretch. You put it on tape. You just put it on replay. This is how you lose basketball games right here.
Midnight Rider, tomorrow you get appointed AD of Georgetown. What's your first step to try to rectify Georgetown basketball?
I mean, I think KG hit on the head. It's recruiting. We might have to call AI and company ask for some money so we can get some NILs or something. Get us some Dodge Chargers on campus. But you got to do something different because what you've done so far, the status quo, hasn't worked. And I think part of the problem is, it goes back to what KG was talking about when we're forecasting these kids. You forecast some of these kids out, and some of these kids transfer and they adjust. Well, the problem is you can move to 2 or 3 different schools, but the one constant is you. And I think some of these kids, they're the problem more so than anything else.
I agree with you 100%.
But we're seeing this across the board at big schools. You're watching schools like St. John's have a rough patch. You got Georgetown with his rough patch. Wake's showing some life. But a lot of the true powers from when we were growing up, they're struggling right now.
It's bad. It's bad. All the powerhouses are struggling. It's bad. Well, answer your own question, there, boss. Before we roll on.
I think you have to go get. If I'm AD, you have to go get a young coach from a great coaching staff, and you have to start there. You have to have somebody that can relate to the new kids, and then something that I think the big guy said is you have to go get that JUCO superstar that nobody's on. He's not on anybody's radar. You have to go get kids that need a second chance. That you might have to work with them a little bit as far as academics, off the court stuff, but you have to get some guys in here that are just athletically gifted that can take over some stuff. And that's what you have to start, because you're not even getting the 3-star recruits at this point. Nobody wants to go to Georgetown. You have to go get a kid. You have to talk to somebody and bend some rules academically if you can. You know what I'm saying? Like the Midnight Rider said, go get some scat packs. Go get some, some other little things and get yourself back on the map to being respectable. Then you can try to go get the 3 stars or maybe a 4-star to help change your program around. Like we talk about it all the time. The pipeline right here in the Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, Carolinas. You don't even have to leave those areas to get this program back on track. I just think they're all over the place. Big guy said, you don't have a type. What do y'all do? What do y'all want to do? Is it defense? Do y'all want to overpower people on offense? Do you want height like Big John? Do you want height? Do you want the center? Do you want shoot them out of the gym guards? Like, what is Georgetown? Nobody knows.
Well, Maryland took that stance and went to Baltimore when Maryland players weren't going to Baltimore. Gary Williams went to Baltimore, got players like Keith Booth. He went elsewhere and got players like Joe Smith. Went down south, got a Chris Wilcox. Went to JUCO and got Steve Francis. So it's work. It's tried and true. Go back to the old school ways. But, you can line their pockets legally now. So throw some money at them. Midnight Rider, Young Nats put on a show in spring training. You want to take this one away?
Oh, of course, man. You had the young guys, Dylan Cruz. I think he was 2 for 2 today, a double, 2 RBIs, or RBI, I should say. Robert Hassel, he was also like 203, 204 with a home run today. The name Hassel should be familiar because Hassel's the guy we got in the Juan Soto trade. Dylan Cruz is, of course, the young fella that you drafted last year early on. Another kid from the James Wood trade from the Soto trade is James Wood. Over the weekend, he hit a ball to Djibouti. So it was a good day if you were a fan of Nats. Not saying that they were going to make this translate, but like you saw some of the hope. Brady House, I think, hit a home run today as well. It's just you're getting to a glimpse. And once you get that glimpse, you can see possibly where Maybe not spending any money right away makes a little sense because now you're waiting on talent. You're giving that talent space to grow. So maybe a guy like a Nick Senzel who's playing third base is only playing half the season, and a Brady House is coming up, or a Trey Lincecum is coming up to take his spot. It was just giving the kids a chance to flourish, kind of like what Baltimore did last year. And if they can get similar results, because their pitching is better than Baltimore's, if they can get similar results to what Baltimore did, that'd be tremendous. But I think that's too far ahead. I think 81 and 81 is something where they can get to and be respectable all season long. But they can't start bad.
Midnight Rider, I'm gonna put my Joe the fan hat on because I'm a novice when it comes to baseball, and I want to know how much of today's game, because Houston pretty much has their lineup together. They're a top tier squad. So how much is Houston playing just to warm up? Are they just playing at 20-30% just to get the muscles relaxed while you have a national squad where you have young players maybe trying to make the team, trying to make an impression, giving you that 125%?
Only reason I say no is because, like, for baseball players, it's a rhythm thing. You gotta find the rhythm. You gotta find the heartbeat or whatever you want to call it. You gotta find your swing, and you lose it after you sit out for a period of time because you're not facing live pitching. You're not facing different styles. So I don't think Houston went 30% because Houston's got guys right now that have to fight for positions and stay in the lineup. And if not stay in the lineup, and I'm not talking about Altuve's, but I know Michael Brantley just left. So you got somebody that's got to replace Brantley. Are we talking about Kyle Tucker? No. But there are guys in Houston's lineup that are fighting for jobs. So they're going to put their good foot forward. You're not getting a 20%. This isn't like you catch back in the day the Lakers, or actually let's say the Golden State Warriors playing like the pre-process 76ers, and they just go in and they know their 30% is better than Philadelphia's 100%. That's not what you're getting right now. You're getting teams that's trying to figure out some of their lineups, figure out who goes where, figure out some jobs. So it's not going to be that drastic of a drop off or a difference.
Okay, that's why I asked, because we see in NFL preseason, we know most of those spots are already taken, and you got guys in there trying to get 200% just to make the team. And like you said, the same in basketball where you play a bottom dweller squad, and you don't have to put 100% on the floor. Your 60% is good enough to beat this team. So that's why I was asking.
No, that's a great question. I mean, I just think with baseball, because of the rhythm and because most guys like to get their work and then get to the golf course. Some of your better golfers are baseball players. That pitcher like Greg Maddux, get his 2 innings in, and then he ready to go to the golf course and chill out the rest of the day. Same thing with Smokes and those guys. So I get what you're saying, and maybe that's also the baseball purist in me, but I think they got an effort today. I just think sometimes matchup styles make fights, as we talk about. This might have been a situation where the styles made the fight.
You said something. 81 and 81 was what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 81 and 81 was your prediction as well for last season, correct? Or was it less than 81 and 81?
Oh, I know I didn't pick 81. I probably had them because the way their off season looked. I think if I gave them 60 wins, I think they were like 60 and 102 in my book because I didn't see the growth of Jonah Gray. I didn't see Trevor Williams actually being a solid 5th starter. Who else played over their skis? Mackenzie Gore played way better than I thought he was going to play. And then offensively, they didn't hit a whole lot of home runs. They got a lot of base hits. So I think I mentioned like mid-season that if they could get to 81 and 81, they'd be ahead of the curve. But I definitely didn't think that team could get there.
Okay, I'm saying that because I know we talked about it preseason baseball, spring training, and I was saying, that they're going to do over what you were saying. And, we were kind of both surprised. I was spitballing, just being well overconfident. But I said, let's take the over. They won 71 last year. But I don't know. I think this team could really surprise some people and turn some heads. But only time will tell.
I mean, that's just again, it's a tall ask because you're asking from a position where you got nothing last year in terms of power, like first base. Maybe that's Jesse Winkler, maybe that's Joey Menendez, and they give you, 25 home runs and 80 RBI. That's the type of stuff you're asking for as an expectation, not something that you're hoping for to go 81 and 81. You're hoping, or you're asking Mackenzie Gore and Josiah Gray to be the 1 and 2s of the starting rotation and being guys that can win 15, 16 ball games, have a sub 4 ERA. You're asking a guy like a Jackson Rutledge or Cade Cavalli, two of their young pitching prospects, to come in and maybe be a full starter. You're asking Bruce Irvin, kid they called up last year to pitch for him, to kind of duplicate what he did last season. I mean, it's just a lot for them to get to 81 and 81. And we still haven't talked about their outfield and second base. But those are all places where they're going to need to make some strides to get that record back. But we'll see. I mean, I think the over-under is 71 this year. I think we can be comfortable taking the over. I just don't think 81 is the number.
Okay.
If I can, throw a couple more questions in there, because, like I said, when it comes to baseball, I'm a novice. 2 questions. What's the national strongest position? What is their, all right, that guy, that's, maybe, are we talking about that position as a top 10 in the league, top 20? And then what's this team's identity? What are they going out on the baseball field night in and night out? What are their strengths? What is their muscle?
Wow, that's a great question. The team's strengths, let's go with their best position. I think their best players are their outfielders. Between the young and the old. I think the older guys can get out of the way, and maybe you see a Haskell third, you see a Wood come up. That's probably more so built on your potential than what you have already in the bank account. You have Lane Thomas and Victor Robles right now is 2/3 of your outfield, so you probably have somebody fighting for the third spot. Again, a name you're going to hear me say a lot is Jesse Winkler. He could probably play the other outfield spot. I think that's their best option or their best spot. Third base is you're waiting for Brady House to come up. Shortstop, you need CJ Abrams to have another solid year. Second base is a struggle because you don't know what Luis Garcia you're going to get. First base, we don't know who it is. And me, I worry about it because Dominic Smith last year played a solid defensive first base. And are you going to have a guy to play first base that's going to be able to pick it to the same level and save some of these errors from some of these young guys throwing the baseball across the diamond? Catcher, I mean, it's Ruiz, and then there's a gap, and then there's everybody else. So you need somebody to step up to make that a better spot for them. I think that's all of it. And then they need a bullpen. I think their biggest challenge, their biggest weakness is going to be their bullpen because they don't invest heavily from a monetary standpoint. They bet more on guys with high side or high upside. You can say that for their whole bullpen. So that's just going to be a place where you kind of got to figure guys out in the first couple of weeks. That's the beauty of spring training, is they get to figure out who plays where, what the roles are. And once they get the roles established, they're good to go.
All right. A quick shot real quick. The Caps set a record last night in the win over the the Senators. I believe they played last night. They won 6-3 over the Senators, 2 back-to-back goals in 12 seconds, I believe it was. Shaved a second off the previous record of 13 seconds, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know if Matt will get a hold of this and he'll jump in because that's our hockey expert. But right now the Caps are down 4-1 of the Red Wings. We asked the question.
Hold. It's 4-2. Ovi's got the first goal, and the second goal is the kid LaPierre, who I think scored last night as well.
Okay,
so
that
it's 4-2.
Just
we got to keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive. Caps are 27-21-9. The Red Wings are 32-20-6. We're only in the second period, so let's see what they can do. They got both goals in the second period, so hopefully they can cut this deficit down. There's still 3:22 left in the second. So we asked the question, was it fool's gold or was it real? And everybody kind of was on agreement saying it was real. But, time will tell. Hopefully they go on a nice little run. But I would love to have Matt here, and I'll put this out there and I'll put it in the group. You think the Caps will make a move at the trade deadline, which is a week from Friday?
It's the 8th.
It's the 8th, yeah.
So
we got to make sure we lock Matt down for that too. Coming up, I think that's the 5th, 6th. I think we got him. We'll try to lock him down for Thursday after next.
So I think the way this plays out is they'll make a small move or two to try to get something that can help them out down the stretch. I think they position themselves well to where they don't have to be sellers, they can be buyers. To be honest, I'm almost a little nervous with them even being buyers in this case because they've brought up some of their younger guys, and I think some of the younger guys have given them some much-needed speed that this team hasn't had in a long time. You ask some people, it's been quite a long time since they had some of the speed that they have up there. They just caught up their first-round pick from last year. God forgive me for not being able to say his last name, but it's like Mosa Mora, something like that. And then you're getting Connor McMichael to play top 6 line hockey right now, which is tremendous because you've been waiting on this kid for the longest time. You done picked up a couple guys like LaPierre and Van Riemsdyk, and they're giving you, they're not giving you anything great, but every night or every couple nights, they give you a goal here. They're giving you a quality play. So, and then you're getting Dylan Strome, who's having probably his best best season as a goal scorer. So, and they're hot right now. Now, tonight we're standing, but maybe this is the fact that, in hockey, when you play on the back end of back-to-backs, sometimes your legs aren't there early. So maybe we get a chance where their legs catch up to them and they can make a run here in this last second period and into the third.
Yeah, I'm trying to formulate my question and my concern here. And this is, hopefully Matt catches up with the show. But do you guys feel like, let's say, what's this, 24 over the last 7 seasons, the Caps has maybe squandered opportunities to win more than one Stanley Cup?
I think if you go, I'd say it this way. I think the team before. So they won it in 18?
I believe so.
So I would say from 2012 to 2018, I think that's when they squandered their best opportunities.
Okay.
But then again, they weren't a very good defensive hockey team. And I think in the scrum of Oates and company, the coaches that they brought in, I don't think they fit. And I think that was a bad job by management picking out some of the coaches in that stretch. And I think they lost some years in that time.
My other concern is this. I believe, are they still sitting at 9th?
Yes.
They're still sitting at 9th. Here's my concern. your TJ Oshie, your Ovechkins, they don't have that much time left. And I noticed you said they would be buyers more than sellers. But in order to buy, you still got to give up something. And if this team doesn't have a realistic chance of making a deep run or making the playoffs and making a deep run, are you mortgaging your future, trading away some of your young pieces that maybe can help you in the future? I mean, how many more years is Ovi going to play? How many more, and then on top of that, these guys, dealing with injuries left and right. So you really had to sit and think. If you're the GM of the Capitals, it's like, okay, if we're 100% healthy, I'm confident we can make this run. But if you don't have that confidence, can you pull that trigger to maybe give away a couple of pieces that when you lose your big dogs, your big guns, your face of the franchise, now you got to kind of catch up a little bit. That's my concern. If and Matt would probably know a little bit more, but to me, I just don't see this team making a deep run in the playoffs. If they make it, I see a first round exit, and I don't want to. That's just what I feel. We all know what the great eight can do: get hot and then carry a team. But you get hot, you got to cool off sometime. Do you cool off in the East Finals, and then you done traded these pieces away that you need to rebuild your future? That would be my concern.
Well, I think their biggest setback was many years ago trading the kid they drafted, Peter Forsberg, to get some talent to try to get them over the hump, and that those players never contributed, and they failed in that first round or that second round in the playoffs. But you got to remember, hockey is the most unique playoff setup of them all.
Absolutely.
You can be the 8 seed and it doesn't look good for you, but your goalie gets hot, your goal scorer gets hot, and we're talking about a whole different brand of hockey that you're playing right now, and you don't have to worry about what it looks like because you're going to just ride the hot hand. So we've seen the 8 seed in hockey make it to the Stanley Cup and even hoist the Stanley Cup. So, I think hockey is the closest to football when it's any given Sunday. For them, it's just any given night. If the goalie gets hot, you can't do nothing about it. And you can ask the Caps about that. The Caps have had their share of being upset by 8 seeds.
I know that pain. Whenever it happens. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Well, we come to that point where the WrestleManiacs didn't like this Saturday. Like, hey, what is this? What is this? They were a little upset about that. So, angry phone calls coming your way, boss.
I'll take
everybody on the clock.
Yeah, man. Not happy about it, but it's okay. Final thoughts before we get out of here, fellas.
B, those are great questions, man. I hope I answered them enough for you. But again, I think, like I said, like we've been talking about, I think the Nats have potential. But I think their start is paramount for them. And the Caps, we just gotta wait and see. We've got some young guys playing good hockey or contributing whenever they get a chance. So if that can stay the case, and we got a little thing that KG gets on me about when I talk about addition by subtraction. And Evgeny Kuznetsov, it's not ironic that this run has happened with Kuznetsov being on his suspension from the National Hockey League. It's not ironic.
For me, it's just back on the Bronny James situation. I don't, unfortunately for him, and I feel for him, that it's just, I don't think he'll ever live up to the hype of his father. His father is just a whole different animal. His father was freight trained, in his prime, where you had Boston Celtics grabbing him going to the hole and he's still making a layup. And you're not going to get that out of Bronny. And, you know, I won't put all of it on his father. I put a lot of it on his father and on the media, because I think they're trying to hype up something that's not quite developed yet, and it's not going to develop into what his father was. So I think, you know, but the big guy KG said, hey, and kind of what LeBron James said, hey, back off of him a little bit and give him some space. But I kind of think that's already too late. The hole is dug, and it's just going to get worse. I think the best thing LeBron James can do is just shut up. You know, unless your son is in harm and danger. If it's basketball, he's going to get critiqued. He's going to have critics because people don't like you. It's people like we talk about sports and basketball, or not sports and basketball, personal and sports, and people not being able to tell the difference between the two and talking with both of them on their mind. People have personal vendettas against LeBron James, and his son is going to feel it. So only time will tell. Hopefully he breaks out and, you know, starts proving people wrong.
It's funny you say that, because people have personal vendettas because he's a dad. Oh, why does he have to show up to his kids' games? Like, you couldn't have did anything else. You had to show up to your kid game. You didn't have nothing else to do. Hate LeBron, man. God damn, always out here being a father and shit, and being a good husband. Ah, God, I hate him. Hate him, man. See? Personal biases. I think I don't have anything. What I got, I could talk to you gentlemen about off air, but I think that's it for us tonight.
See, I gave y'all more time, way more time.
That you did. No complaints. But we got to go put the mothership back in the parking space. Make sure we put it the same way, fill it up, back up with the gas, because we got to take this thing back out on Thursday. But we might can run it a little bit longer on Thursday. Boss BJ ain't gonna be here, so we'll be unsupervised. But until next time, that's the Boss BJ. That's the Midnight Rider. I'm the big guy KG, baby. We don't do no overtime. We are out of here.